So today we're going to be changing out the throttle body on my 2012 Fiat 500 Abarth and installing a modified version that I picked up from Modern Performance. Now the throttle body sits down on the left hand side of the engine. Hopefully you can see that right there, underneath the airbox. And the same throttle body is used on the 2012 Dodge Dart with 1.4 litre multi-air turbo engine, so it's a similar installation. There is the throttle body buried down in there. Now I'm going to be taking off the airbox first with the intake piping, and I'm also going to be removing the battery and ECU, which should give me much better access. If you have smaller hands, you can probably get in there and do it, but I'm going to take the battery tray out to give me room. The only thing different you'll see on my car here is I have a TMC ECU piggyback box that I have mounted on a custom bracket in front of the battery, so I'll be removing that as well. But just in case you see that in the shots and wonder what it is. Okay, have the airbox off so we can get a better look now at the throttle body, which is right there. And it's held on with 4 bolts. Unfortunately there's a few cables and things floating around there as well, and obviously the air intake pipe needs to come off. But like I say, I'm going to take the battery tray out now, just so, and the ECU to give me a little bit more room for my right hand down in here. Okay, so we got the battery and battery tray out, and that's always difficult because of all these there's a lot of push fit one-time cable ties, so be as careful as you can removing those so that you can put them back on afterwards. With the battery tray, see here the ECU is mounted on that, so that all comes off one assembly, the airbox and the battery. So we've got better access now to the throttle body. I've taken the connector off. Oh, let me get the camera in the right place. So the connector plugs in up here, and there's some cabling here held on with a couple of clips. So I've removed those, try and clear my way. Next thing I need to do is remove this clamp on the air intake pipe. Unfortunately the screw for that is all the way around the back, so that's my next job, to try and get access to that and get that loosened so I can get that off. Okay, so I have the old throttle body here. Finally got it out of the car. See the text for a little more detail. But as you can see, hopefully, there's a lip inside around where the butterfly is positioned. So when you measure the inside bore of this, at the widest point it's 46 millimeters, but at the narrow point around the butterfly it's down to about 44 millimeters. If I look at the new throttle body from Modern Performance, what they've done is made the inside of the throttle body smooth and the same diameter all the way through, and fitted a new butterfly. So it is actually measures, the inside bore measures 47 millimeters, and the difference is it's 47 millimeters all the way through. The other difference you'll probably notice is there's much smaller screw heads on the butterfly on the new throttle body as opposed to the old throttle body. The screw heads are really quite large, and so that all adds up to much smoother airflow intake. Okay, let's see if we can get the new one put back on the car. So as you can see, the throttle body is off. That's the rubber gasket in there. This is, I've only got 5,000 miles on this car, so the gasket's going to be fine. You can order one from Mopar, maybe I think it's about $4 for that rubber seal, but that one's in great condition. I'm just going to leave the standard one on there. Just so you can see the fixings, this is the hose clamp. Hopefully you can see that. I had to get under the car to get that off. That's a I think it was a 7mm socket to loosen that clamp. And then there's two types of fixings on the body of the thing itself. There's this one, which is a Torx bit, which are the bottom two bolts on the throttle body. I'll check what size that is and add that into the notes. And then the top two are actually studs, and you'll need a 8mm socket to get those off. But I'll put all the sizes and everything on the site. Alrighty, I've set the camera up. I don't know if this will work, but we'll see if it does. If you can see enough, I'm going to try and put on my new throttle body from Modern Performance. Gonna leave it a little bit loose so that you can get that fourth. Make sure we can get that fourth screw in, which for me, with the size of my hands and everything, and the fact that I've got a scissor lift here, so I can lift the car up real easy. So that fourth screw I actually put in by getting underneath the car and there we go. So it's a little bit loose, just to make sure we can line up that fourth screw, and I get in from underneath the car to do that one. Alrighty, just got out from underneath the car, so we got all 4 bolts, or 2 bolts, 2 screws, tightened up on the throttle body and located. So now we're just going to get the hose positioned back on there, which is a tight fit, and it's cold out here. I may just warm it up a bit if I can't get it on. Oh, looks like we got it. Alright. And of course remember to slide the clamp over the hose before you push it back onto the throttle body. There we go. And now we're going to get the clamp done up. And I'm actually going to, when I undid the clamp, I had to actually get underneath the car to do it, because that bolt there, if you can see that, but the bolt on the clamp was all around underneath the car. And I don't see anything that's going to foul on it, so I'm going to make it so it's a little bit more accessible in case I need to switch it down another time. Okay, we got the hose clamp back on. We got the throttle body mounted nice and tight. So connect the electrical connector back up, push in the locking tab. There was a clamp here for this line, vacuum line, so I'll clip that back on, and that's just a case of putting everything back together, putting the battery tray back in, putting the airbox back on, making sure everything, double check everything is nice and tight, we haven't left any tools under here, and we'll be good to go. So let me get started on putting everything back in. So it's just the battery tray with the ECU and the battery and the airbox, which is all fairly simple stuff. The hard part is over. Alrighty, everything's back as it should be, I believe. So we've got the new throttle body in there. From the outside it looks just like the standard, because it is just a modified standard body, so nobody's going to know it's in there if you're worried about that. Battery's all hooked up and nice and tight. Make sure the battery's secure. Got my TMC ECU piggyback back in place. ECU cable, don't forget to put this little grounding cable back on here nice and tight for your ECU chassis. Just make sure that's well grounded. Airbox on nice and tight. If you take the air intake out from the front here, when you put it in, make sure you don't trap the it's kind of hard to see, but there's a cable there for your hood release. Make sure you don't trap that underneath the air intake. I've seen people do that and then they can't get the hood open once they close it again. Same where it runs around the side. I don't know if you can see right down there, it runs around the side of the battery tray. Make sure you don't pinch that cable underneath there, because you don't want to be fighting trying to get the hood open if the cable's messed up. That's not easy. And make sure your plumbing is in good, everything's nice and tight. It's a turbo motor, so it's really important to get, you know, all these clamps on the input side, but particularly on the output side where you're into your throttle body. Make sure the clamps are real tight. Alrighty, we're gonna fire this puppy up and make sure I didn't forget to plug something in. Alrighty, so fired up first time, everything looks good. No check engine lights. Just going to let the engine warm up a little bit and take her out for a run. Disconnecting the battery means that you're reset your ECU, so it's going to take a while to relearn, which is a good thing with the new throttle body as well. So we'll give the ECU time to relearn and see how the performance is.